Well, let's start with a big breaking update coming in. President Donald Trump has said that United States will start a naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz following the collapse of the high-stakes peace talk with Iran yesterday. The U.S. military has said that it will block all the traffic entering and exiting Iranian ports there starting 7:30 p.m. today Indian time. Meanwhile, Iran has maintained that any military vessel that approaches the Strait of Hormuz will be considered a violation of the ceasefire and will be dealt with badly, is what they have said. Let me take you through the statement of the U.S. Central Command, what they have mentioned as far as their plan is concerned. They've said that they will start implementation of a blockade of the traffic entering and exiting Iranian ports on April 13th at 10 a.m. in accordance with the President's proclamation. The blockade will be enforced impartially against vessels of all the nation entering or departing Iranian ports and coastal areas, including all Iranian ports on the Arabian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. CENTCOM forces will not impede freedom of navigation for the vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz to and from non-Iranian ports. So this is a very important point. Additional information will be provided to commercial mariners through a formal notice prior to the start of the blockade. All mariners are advised to monitor notice of the broadcast and contact U.S. Naval Force on the bridge-to-bridge channel 16 when operating in the Gulf of Oman and the Strait of Hormuz approaches. So this is very important. In fact, time has been mentioned by CENTCOM that will be April 13th at 10 a.m. So that will be, as far as IST is concerned, April 13th at around 7:30 is when this blockade will be implemented in the Strait of Hormuz. Let me go across to my colleague Mayank, who's been tracking all the details. Mayank, many experts believe that in order to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, Donald Trump is trying to close it. Could you explain to us how a naval blockade would work?
In fact, I'm reminded of a saying which says that caught between the two wheels. Whether blockade was initially started or regulation, the way that it was going on by Iran, or now by US also adding the blockade, it will ultimately create problems for people. Because let's say if people pay tariff and they leave Strait of Hormuz, as soon as they leave, they'll be caught by the US because they have paid the toll. So it becomes a difficult situation. Blockade can be done because it's a narrow passage. So it's a limited maritime zone on which, let's say, they can place 2-3 ships or even 2 warships at one end. And that can create a blockade because there's a mouth to it, snout to it. So any which way, the blockade can be practically practiced. And understand, it is the world's biggest strait in terms of the volume of supply of fuel and energy to the world. So it is going to be the biggest blockade practically of the world's biggest supplier to the fuel supplier. Having said that, it is a problem because already there are informations of mines which are into that zone and that area. And mine itself creates a lots of precarious situations and vulnerabilities also. So it has become difficult for people, and already the reeling effect of fuel and energy, gas, everything can be felt everywhere across the globe. So as we had been using the phrase that although the bombs we are articulating that bombs are falling in Middle East, but then ripples and waves are felt across the globe.
Absolutely, because the Strait of Hormuz continues to be a friction point, and slightest of the miscalculation there or mistake on behalf of US can trigger a massive escalation, because this is the area where Iran has already attempted strikes on the US warships. So it remains to be seen how that pans out. Stay on with me, Mayank. We have a breaking update coming in. A reaction that is coming from Iran's Navy chief. He has called US President Donald Trump's threat to blockade the Strait of Hormuz ridiculous and funny after marathon talks between Tehran and Washington in Islamabad failed to deliver a deal to end the Middle East war. Now the naval chief of Iran has said, and I quote, "The brave men of the naval force of Army of Islamic Republic of Iran are monitoring and supervising all the movement of the aggressive American army in the region. The threats of US President Donald Trump to blockade the Iran at sea are very ridiculous and funny." So, Mayank, that is what, in fact, Iran's Navy chief has said. He has called President Donald Trump's threat completely funny. But we also had reaction coming in from IRGC as well, and they had said that they would also hit back if there is, in fact, a blockade of this sort, because we have seen in the last more than 1 month, this particular area has also come under attack. The warships of US, there have been attempted attacks at those as well. So there could be escalation in the coming days. What are the experts telling you about this?
See, understanding from the way the things happened yesterday only, that two very large vessels, they had turned back. Now it is only on the kind of news and the conditions which were created in that on that side, on that only they had turned back. You can understand the psychological pressure on the mariners this time because and the people who are operating those vessels, the flagships and all. So effectively, it is becoming difficult for everyone. And let me bring back the kind of weaponry or the missiles which Iran has, and it was in the middle of the warfare, or maybe around 17th, uh, between 15th to 20th, there was a tactical vessel which was shot at by Iran side. What I'm trying to bring out is that Iran has capabilities in terms of drones, missiles, and they have proven it time and again. So that makes it difficult for people to even imagine that, let's say, even if they don't have those capabilities, which they have proven against actually. I mean, contrary to it, they had been ingressing the air defense zones of every Middle East and even Israel also. So what I'm trying to signify is that it creates a major pressure and a sense of vulnerability into the minds of the people who are operating on that side, whether civil vessels or military vessels. Oh, sorry, merchant vessels. So this is the kind of situation there is, and it is precarious.
Absolutely, because Iran is capable of hitting at the warships there as far as Strait of Hormuz is concerned. So it remains to be seen whether there will be escalation in the coming days, because US has put out a time frame as well. They are saying that the blockade will come into force on April 13th at around 7:30 Indian time. So it remains to be seen how that really pans out. We have